1. So, some context. Me, a 19-year-old male, was hanging out with some of my friends at a local mall late one night. My friends are the kind of people who could walk around H&M or Zara for hours just looking at clothes. Me, not so much. F1 and F2 decided to browse through Gap while me and F3 waited outside on a bench. Now keep in mind it was past 9 on a Tuesday, and the mall closes at 10, so when I say it was empty, it was literally completely empty. So imagine my surprise when I see a young girl who couldn't have been older than 4, sitting on a bench alone, without any adult nearby. I pointed it out to F3, but he shrugged it off, and said if no one comes by before the mall closes, he'll find someone. I continue to keep an eye on the girl until 20 minutes later, when F1 and F2 come out of the store, because the mall had just announced that it was closing in 15 minutes. At this point I was getting a bit concerned, and when I pointed out LG to F1 and F2, they said we should go find a security guard or someone before the mall closed. Me, F1, F2 and F3 all walked over to the bench, keeping an eye out for a security guard or mall cop. When we got to LG's bench, the dialogue went like this. "Hey sweetie, do you know where your parents are?" "Mommy's in there," points towards another store. "Thanks sweetie, do you know when she's going to come back?" "No." "No?" Now, I don't know exactly what was going through this EM's head as she walked out of Bath & Body Works, but in hindsight I do realize that 4 teenagers surrounding your young daughter does not look good in the eyes of just about anyone. The EM lets out an unholy, unearthly screech that must have broken at least half the windows in the mall. We all turn around and see the absolutely livid EM running at us with evil in her eyes. Shit. "Get away from my daughter, you creeps!" Now hold on, ma'am. She swings her bag like a bat and smacks F2 right in the head. After this was all over, I got a peek into the bag to see what made the audible clunk when it hit F2's head. It was a whole gallon container of hair conditioner that came with a solid plastic container that was at least 3 pounds, plus all the other random crap in her bag that altogether resulted in a 15-pound bag of junk being swung at F2's head. 2 weeks later, he still has a bruise. "The hell is wrong with you?" "You're what's wrong, you creepy pedophiles, I'm calling security." Fortunately, security, who must have been alerted by EM's screeching, had already arrived. "Alright, what's going on here?" "Well, you see, sir, they were sexually assaulting my daughter." "What?" "I came out of the store, and these 4 were touching my daughter." No, we were asking your daughter where you were, because you were the one who left her alone on this bench. You're the one who screamed and attacked F2. "Ma'am, are you saying you left your daughter out on this bench alone while you went shopping?" "Well, yeah, but it was only for a few hours. I told her not to run off." "Ma'am, you left your 4-year-old daughter alone and unattended on the mall bench at nearly 10 p.m. and attacked F2 here." Now realizing she royally screwed up, "Well, Ma'am, could you follow me, please?" "But I did nothing wrong." "Please, ma'am." At this point, 2 more security guards had arrived, and the EM realized she was outnumbered, and was led away with her daughter in tow. F2 got medical attention, like I said, it was a heavy bag, and told SG that he would like to press charges if he could. The SG said that there was a good chance that it could go in our favor in the court, and we currently are working with F2's parents' lawyer to sue the EM. So everything kinda worked out okay. 2. So to set the scene, I work at a large clothing retail store that is 2 stories. The top floor ladies wear, the bottom floor kids wear, men's and home. It was a very busy Saturday and we were very understaffed, which left me being the only person on the bottom floor. We have just bought in new Halloween apparel in the kids section, which had been placed on the right-hand side of the tills. The tills are set up so that there are 2 on a long bench about 2 meters apart from each other, so it is pretty clear if there is a line at one of the tills. As I am the only person working on the bottom floor, there is only 1 till open, and I am on the left side till. This is relevant. As I am serving a lady with a large number of clothes, a line starts to form, and I noticed a woman and her 4 boys checking out the Halloween section. The boys are fighting over who can dress up as a pumpkin, and the mother keeps screaming at them to shut up and hurry up. I was already feeling the Karen vibes radiating from her, so was mentally preparing for her to have some sort of problem. By the time I had finished serving, The line had grown very long, with only me being on the tills. The next in line was NG and NM, who smiled at me, and just as they put their items down, the Karen interrupts. "Excuse me, are you really going to just ignore me? I've been waiting for 10 minutes. First of all, she had been in the Halloween section, not in line, and she had not been there for 10 minutes. Sorry, I didn't see you in line for this till. Excuse me, is this not a till? Pointing to the right side till, the one that, I'm not using. Sorry, that till is not open, as I cannot use both tills at the same time. Shouldn't have to explain that to a grown Karen, but Does it matter? I've clearly been waiting here longer than these people. It's so rude that you just ignore me. Sorry, I thought you were looking at the Halloween clothes, not in line. That doesn't matter. I've been standing by the tills. The NG and NM, who were in front, luckily gave me a sympathetic smile and let the Karen and her spawns cut in front, so I could get them out of the way. It takes the store I work in quite a while to serve people, as almost everything is security tagged, so we have to take them off each item and then take off the coat hangers. As I'm D-tagging the Karen's items, one of her spawns is interested in the magnet D-tagger. For those who haven't taken off these certain types of security tags, they look like little UFOs with one side having a very sharp needle that goes through the clothes and into the other side of the tag. So to remove them, we press the tag on this magnet that separates the pin side from the tag. If you've worked with these, you know what a bitch they are and how often the pin slips and goes into your finger. Very painful. The little spawn points at it and asks me if he can untag one. I say no, as it's slightly dangerous, and it would be my fault if the spawn pricked himself. No, sorry, I can't let you do that. I will get in trouble. Mommy, I want to do one. You already held us up long enough. Just let him do one. You won't get in trouble. You're the only one here. I'm sorry, but the security tags have a pin in them that pops out when you detag them, and he could prick his finger, so it's a safety thing. Only dumb people would prick themselves. Could have strangled the little shit, but resisted the urge. The EM rolls her eyes at me, and I continue detagging. Just as I have only a few more items to go, EB snatches one of the items and begins slamming the security tag onto the magnet like a little lunatic. I ask him to stop touching it, and then try to grab his hand, not hard, so he doesn't hurt himself. Of course, this sets off the Karen. Don't you dare touch my son! Just let him do one! Just as she finishes screeching at me, her spawn begins wailing. And what do I see? His grubby little hand, bleeding with a pin stuck in it. The Karen starts going ballistic at the little brat, and then screaming at me that it's my fault that this happened, all while leaving her shit at the tills and dragging out her little spawns while yelling. No, the line didn't clap. 3. I live in a small town which, despite its rather below-average size and population, is pretty well known around the area and has a decent amount of stores in it. I recently got my first job as a private tutor for English, and got paid for the first time last Thursday. A whopping €20, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's my first self-earned money. A few days later I decided I'd use my money for some celebratory grocery shopping, since our fridge was looking a little empty, and I could smuggle some chocolate along the way. Now, where I live, there are two big stores right next to each other. We call them Good Store and Cheap Store, as the Good Store was essentially bigger and had more items than Cheap Store, generally cheaper. Knowing to spend my money well, I go to Cheap Store and head through the aisles. I grab the stuff I needed, everything fine so far, aside from a kid screaming about not being allowed to have a certain type of cereal. Then I head to the drink aisle, browsing it for my favorite orange juice. I look down the entire shelf of OJ and see it, 100% orange juice. Right next to its inferior cousin, 50% orange juice. It was the last bottle. The cast, well, me, gee, I wonder. EK entitled Kid, EM entitled Mom, W Worker. I bend down to grab the bottle, but as I'm picking it up, I inspect it quickly to check if it's actually 100%, as the bottles literally look the same. But then it happens. A kid sprints at me full force while I'm inspecting the bottle, jumps up and tries to snatch it from me. I get spooked and try to shake him off. He's hanging from my arm with one hand while trying to pull the bottle with the other. Once I noticed it was a kid, approximately 4 or 5 years old, I try to gently place him on the floor, then rip the bottle out of his grasp. I succeed. "Buddy, you can't just nab something from someone, especially a grown-up."
"But I want it!"
"Well, I would have given it to you if you would have asked nicely. Maybe you'll learn something from this." Needless to say, I wasn't lying. I would have been fine with any other OJ, this one was just my favorite. Also, needless to say, I wasn't mad or aggressive in any way, just another failed attempt at parenting. He doesn't know better, I thought to myself as he stomped off. I carry on my shopping adventure with my bottle in my bag, poking at the top. As I stood in front of the aisle, I hear someone from a distance yell, "Excuse me, kiddo!" I turn around and see a Karen. "How the fuck dare you steal from a child?" I did what now? "Don't you try to deny it, you lying piece of shit. My son came to you, and you stole his orange juice from him. He's a good boy." "Ma'am, your son is a liar here. He was the one trying to steal from me." "You're so pathetic. First you shoved my child, steal his juice, and now you're calling my little angel a liar. Oh, I will have you thrown out of this store for lifetime." "Listen, I did nothing wrong. Just get some other OJ. There's plenty in the shelves, or buy one from Good Store. They have this one in stock, I reckon." "Fucking asshole, my child doesn't want a different OJ, and I won't walk all the way over to Good Store for one damn item." Note that the stores aren't even 30 seconds apart from each other. Whatever, if you'll excuse me. I turn around to head to a different aisle. Suddenly I hear quick steps coming towards me and feel a pull on my bag. That woman was actually trying to snatch the OJ from my bag. I turned around while reaching for her hand, grabbing it and pulling it away. "Assault! Assault! Help!" Bullshit. A worker comes by. "What seems to be the problem?" EM furiously makes up how I randomly attacked her without any reason and demands I pay her €50 and be banned from the store. Me, on the other hand, calmly explain the real story, how the kid first tried to steal from me. Then her. She curses, calling me a liar. She then shoves me backwards, making me topple into the shelves behind me while she is still screaming at me. The worker gets immeasurably annoyed, pulls her back and points out a security camera. "You listen here. It seems like you're the assailant, and we have definitely enough evidence to prove the boy's story. You will either get out of our store or I will call the authorities." Karen leaves the store with her kid, probably because she knows this is a losing battle for her. The worker helps me up and gives me a coupon for immediate usage. He also promised to always keep that specific OJ in stock from now on. Firstly, so I won't have to deal with another Karen, and secondly, because it's some damn good OJ. 4. I generally refrain from using terms such as narcissist even for the worst offenders. Because hey, it's a medical condition, and some people are just assholes. But this lady is the only one I dare use the term for. Beyond that, she is very, very entitled and self-centered. Background. I work with teens on a variety of projects that sometimes involve traveling to foreign countries. I've been doing this for 2 years, and while it's stressful and low-paying, I love my work enormously. One of the teens who's joined our projects, GT, great teen from now on, is this EM's daughter. She's really smart and hard-working, and also used to being the responsible adult amongst incompetent grown-ups. Because that's what growing up with such a creature for a mum does to a kid. By that I mean, this lady will often force GT to watch her younger one, instead of attending her rehearsals, take her to school, put her to bed, etc. The mum never cooked, so GT has serious health issues, anemia, low calcium, eating disorder, etc. She doesn't take GT to the hospital when she's sick for months, etc., etc. There's more I could add. Just know that she is an awful parent, not just an entitled one. The story. After the latest summer camp I'd organized, EM contacted me to see if I'd be interested in going on an Erasmus Plus project with GT and a friend of hers. This sort of project means you attend workshops, do some activities specific to the theme, all in exchange for free travel and accommodation. I hadn't participated in one before, but I knew the structure, and the particular topic of this project interested me a lot, so I said yes, thinking I'd be the coordinator. This is where her entitlement first kicks in, because after I'd accepted I find out that no, it's actually her boyfriend, useless manchild, now her ex, who will hold this title, as EM wants this project to be a birthday gift for him. Sort of like an all-expenses-covered vacation. My alarm bells went off, but it was too late to back out at that point. Despite being the group coordinator, EM still relied on me to figure out flights, accommodation, train connections, everything. I fully regretted ever saying yes to this person, but again, too late to back out. In search for cheap accommodation for the days traveling to and from the project, not covered in the E+ budget, I found a nice cheap room on Airbnb. EM wanted me to book it, but I had no funds on my card, so I told her the booking should be made from her daughter's account. I repeatedly stressed not to book the place from her own account because of a variety of reasons. A, it goes against the ABB policy, and most important to the story, B, we would not be able to contact the hosts while there through the platform, or have the address and details available, and so on. Of course, EM didn't listen. I found out on the night before traveling, so I kept pushing to get the address from her, since I wanted nothing to do with her by this point. Travel day arrives, and we have a grueling long flight schedule. is busy getting drunk in a bar near the layover airport, while I make my way with the teens through the labyrinth of gates. He still doesn't have the address until shortly before we board the plane. We land with some delay and start making our way towards the address on public transport. EM told the hosts we'd arrive around 11 p.m., which was actually the time we finally left the airport, but no matter. They said they had a late check-in until 1 a.m. Due to some mishaps with Google Maps, we get there at 12:45. I start calling the buzzer and knocking on the door, but nobody replied. I call EM to get a phone number from her, to contact the host, but she doesn't reply. She is already asleep. So we take a moment to catch our breath and take in the situation. GT still tries to come up with other ways of getting in contact with her EM. We make fun about maybe sleeping in the nearby police station. We decide to make our way to the train station and wait for the earliest train. At this point, we've already been traveling for over 12 hours and we're exhausted, dirty, and cold. In the train station, the guard begrudgingly allows us to sleep in the waiting room, where there's a weird Ukrainian who, as a hello, gestures that if we need to go to the toilet, we'll have to use the small trash bins in the room. Yes, seriously, because as I said, we weren't allowed to leave that room until the station officially opened. And also because the bathrooms were locked, less junkies should attempt to shit up in there. doesn't care and is the first to fall asleep. The teens and I are concerned about where we could charge our drained phones. Who is going to stay awake to keep an eye on the luggage? The fact that it's cold and we have nowhere to pee. GT finally falls asleep, followed by her friend. I rummage through my bags, find something to cover them since it's really, really cold. I finally crashed around 4:30 when GT was awoken by EM. EM blamed the whole thing on the hosts, and I was just too exhausted to even get mad anymore. We catch the first train around 7 in the morning, and have to change twice to get to our destination. EM texts GT to let her know that she used her usual Karen powers to bully the host into providing us with a free night for our return. I felt bad for them, since I still don't think they were in any way responsible for the fuck-up. We are currently still on the project. is useless and GT is still great. I haven't answered EM's calls or texts since that night, and she understood not to contact me anymore. As for me, I came up with a little song and rhyme in my language that goes along the lines of, "Your mama's dumb, she don't know how to read," that I use as a mantra whenever annoyance bubbles up regarding EM. It sounds way funnier in my language. Hopefully, we'll have a place to sleep on the trip back. 5. I went to one of those walk-in haircut places, the kind that are just super. It was pretty slow and early morning, so there was only one stylist working. There were 2 people ahead of me, a guy and a boy about 8 or 9 years old. Important to note, this place is in a strip mall type shopping center. 5. I went to one of those walk-in haircut places, the kind that are just super. It was pretty slow and early morning, so there was only one stylist working. There were 2 people ahead of me, a guy and a boy about 8 or 9 years old. Important to note, this place is in a strip mall type shopping center at one end of the stores, and there is a large chain grocery store at the other end, but it's about half a mile between them. The boy gets in the chair and I hear the stylist ask, "What kind of haircut are you getting today?" "I don't know." She mentions it's a little long and tries asking, "Is it normally like that, Or has it been a while since the last cut? I don't know. She tries asking, how do you usually get it cut? I don't know. She tries looking at his hair, combing it, and says she sees it shorter here and looks like this, and tries specific questions like, do you usually have the sides shaved a little? Do you keep it a little longer on the top? Every question is met with, I don't know. Finally, the stylist says it might be better to talk to his mom or dad. She looks at the waiting area, still just me and the other guy waiting, asking if one of them is here. Boy says no. She asks, are they waiting outside, maybe having a smoke? Boy says, no, she's not here. She told me to wait here. Stylist gives up and tells the boy that she doesn't want to ruin his hair with the wrong cut, so he'll have to get out of the chair. She takes the next person and cuts his hair, then it's my turn. At least 30 minutes have passed since she had the kid in the chair. She's just started my cut when finally in walks entitled Mom. I can hear a woman's voice behind me asking, are you done? And I don't hear the kid, but we all know the answer. She didn't yell, but she got that fed-up, frustrated attitude, starting with the kid. Well, why not? What have you been doing all this time? She then marches over to the stylist. Why didn't you cut my son's hair? It's been at least an hour and he hasn't had his turn. He did get his turn, but he couldn't tell me how he usually had his hair cut, or how you wanted it today. I couldn't cut it without knowing what you wanted done. He should have known. It's just a cut. He just needs it and I don't have time for this. I have food getting warm in the car. Yep, there it is. She left her 8 or 9-year-old child in a hair salon for an hour, told nobody there she was doing this, and was food shopping in a giant store half a mile away to save herself some time. I'm sorry, but I have someone in my chair right now that it's going to be a few minutes. She turns to me and says, you can wait. I have food in the car. Just get up and let him get his hair cut. You're not going to mind. There's no me in this story because I just stared at her. About 10 different replies, from the polite to the not suitable in front of her child, expletive-laden, rolled through my head for about 3 seconds. But the stylist jumped in first. Sorry, but I've already started and this customer has waited her turn. If you can't wait until I'm done, you'll have to come back another time. There was no blow-up. I expected one, but it didn't happen. This woman was more of a slow burn type. Entitled Mom just stares for a second. Her face got red. She spluttered a little, and then harumphed her way out, grabbing the poor kid by the arm with a brusque, let's go. Maybe she weighed going nuclear and creating a scene against her melting ice cream, and good sense finally won out. Both the stylist and I just sort of laughed and shook our heads after she left, then went on with the haircut. Honestly, I still don't know what's worse. The attitude that the kid should have been able to discuss hairstyle on his own, or that she thought it was okay to leave him without telling anyone that she was doing it, and where she was going. Not that the salon would have let her do this, had they known. And with no other way to contact her if something did happen to him. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to the Impractical Proudness of Parents, IPOP number 22. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Well, the rain seems to have joined us as we wrap up recording here today. Not too loud, thankfully, so we mustn't grumble. I hope it's off by later because I do have plans. Same plans I had last weekend, which never really came to fruition, to pop out and do a bit of grocery shopping. It's always very exciting here at Casa de Hellfreezer. I have very important sausages to buy, and every other store I've tried, apart from the one I actually intended to go to last week, don't really seem to have much of a choice these days. They've got like 3 or 4 varieties, which sounds like a lot, but they're all trash. Anyway, I'm going to head off right now because I got started a bit late today. Ended up waking up late, so I started late. And I better dash off so I can get the videos made to make sure they get up in time for the weekend. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.